I am way more excited about the fact that fans have noticed how Zayn and Louis or Zouis are following each other on social media. So that is a union duo that I'm far more excited about because lo and behold, it finally surfaced the photos of Louis and Zara in Costa Rica, which I kind of kept saying I was seeing photos that were like still photos, but not photos of them together. I think a lot of other fans were saying the same thing. And then I guess the powers that be or their PR teams or whoever is behind this thing um, has noticed that people were mentioning that. And so what they're doing is suddenly they're leaked. But keep in mind that, you know, they don't want to be papped, they won't be papped. So let's see. Um, I am more interested in basically the fact that these two people are friends again after a long, long estrangement. And um, yeah, I'm. I have a couple of things to say about the whole Zara Louis thing. The first being, if ever is the time to do a cover song of Tina Turner's "Better Be Good to Me," now's the time. And you know who would be great to do it? Louis. Louis, time to do that. You know why? Because I honestly, let's for the sake of argument say that it is not a stunt, that it's actually real, and that they really are kind of together. Okay. Well, in that event, all I have to say about that is you were happier with Harry, hands down, because I'm looking at these photos of these like random shots that are taken in Costa Rica. And I don't know, kind of looks a little lackluster to me, although who knows? I can't read people's minds. I just remember how Louis, when we first met him on X Factor, and like this photo of him and Zayn, if you notice, uh, Louis had a sparkle in his eye, even hanging out with Zayn and the boys, and yeah, like with Niall, right? But I don't see that little sparkle. That it doesn't seem to duplicate with Zara. And technically speaking, if you were this happy with your buddies, you should be 10 times more happy with this girl who, for all intents purposes, is hot. And unfortunately, people are a little bit annoyed at how well people. I've been seeing chatter where people are a little concerned about Louis being paired with Zara, and this person was saying that the concern is Zara is apparently conservative, and she's made comments that have not been politically correct, and they don't want Louis to be tainted with that. I certainly agree. So, in the event that that is the case, where somebody put together this stunt, yeah, if this is a stunt, um, they should have picked somebody that just did that could not in any way be a detriment to Louis. Now, Louis did go on Twitter and say that social media was toxic, and it's like, well, tell me something people don't know. It's very obvious social media is toxic. It's only become more toxic and increasingly toxic um, in the last couple of years. But I think that, yeah, maybe he's making a comment about how maybe fans are becoming particularly vicious. Because in the event that, this is really just a stunt, Louis tends to, from what everything I've seen, tends to uh, be conscientious of other people and probably doesn't want people that he's at least friends with to be attacked. Because even if it's a stunt, it it looks like there's at least a friendship going on there. But but you know, there is a fan made video where it's a montage of different moments with Harry and Louis from the early years to the later years and to their clips from their solo careers in the present day. And then it's set to the background music song of Happier With You. And it shows the juxtaposition of how Louis and Harry, kind of solo alone as adults, don't seem to have the big grins that they had when they were together. So, what does that tell you? Anyway, that video came to mind when the pictures of Louis and Zara in Costa Rica hit the social media pages, because I thought, I don't know, maybe he's aware that the camera is taking photos, but he just does not look happy. I mean, he doesn't look unhappy. He just looks kind of like, I'm there. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe it's a kind of confirmation bias, but it's something. So, like I said, I think you were just happier with Harry. You really were just happier with Harry. Or if anything, you just looked happier with Harry. You just naturally smiled. Heck, you smile and beam with Zayn, and there was never rumors of Zayn and Louis. There was always Ziam. So I don't know. The eyes, they never lie. They never, never, never lie. So, uh, well, all I have to say is that part of the reasons why maybe people still believe in Larry is because in the world we're living in, it's a hell of a better thing to be believing in. It's just, there's been a lot of focus on the negative. But if this Louis thing and Zara is correct, then I just hope she's good to him, because we all know Louis's been through a lot. And the last thing he needs is more bullshit. I mean, the last thing everyone needs is a lot of bullshit. But since we're fans of Louis, we don't really want him to have any more bullshit than is necessary in life. And there's just been enough of it, and there's just been so much in frequency and in fairly short intervals that it's kind of like the movie Some Kind of Wonderful from back in the 80s. If you've ever seen that movie, there's a line where, oh, I forget. I think it's Mary Stuart Masterson. She's like the girl that's kind of a tomboy, and she's friends with the Eric. I think it's Eric Stoltz character, who's really really into the Leah Thompson socialite character, and the Leah Thompson character got the friend zone. So my point is, there's a scene in that movie where Mary Stuart Masterson says to Leah Thompson, "You break his heart, I'll break your face." And okay, Louis, I know you don't like it that people are being a little toxic, but this is sort of the sentiment I seem to be feeling from the fandom, because, well, if it's not Harry, it's not that we're upset, because, hey, things don't always last. But if it's not Harry, at the very least, we just want it to be somebody who's worthy of all these amazing things that Louis is. Like I have covered in several videos now, just the amazing, business mind, and the grit and the talent, all the like the whole package of Louis Tomlinson, plus those blue eyes and stuff. He just deserves the best, and he's been shafted by the industry for standing up for himself. Because if anything, if you're watching the Diddy trial, if that does not convince you that the music industry has uh, some really nefarious, sicko, disgusting characters who are capable of literally anything, that trial should definitely be the one to open your eyes. And there was a post by a guy who was Louis' security person from One Direction till 2024, and I forget his name. I posted it in the post on this channel, where he's talking about, and if I think it's an authenticated post. If it's not, tell me. But if let's go on the basis it's authenticated. He's talking about how some really awful characters he's encountered. So, like I said, given all the crap that Louis has gone through and the people he's probably had to been around, the last thing that the fans want to see is for him to be shafted again, for him to be taken advantage of, for him to be used, and for him to be with somebody who sort of occurs like not the most substantive kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know her. I think there's like a bit of a bias when it comes to people who are on reality shows, and there's studies that say that there's a certain type of person that tends to keep going on reality shows, but and so that's kind of where it's like we don't want him with this like fame hungry kind of person that we can't help but worry is are they using him? Are they going to bring him down? Are they like going to be drama? Um, like what? Because we we don't need this. We don't need this. And well, we don't need to see our Louis go through this, but we also don't want him to go through it. I mean, I know I'm repeating myself, but long story short, I don't care what I don't care what these pictures show. What I see is somebody who's hanging out with a friend. I see somebody who is maybe giving it a go. Basically, I still say stunt, stunt, stunt. And I am not a person that was a Larry from the beginning. I only kind of became one after the algorithm sent me down the rabbit hole after we lost Liam. And I just started listening to One Direction because I was quite sad that, there a lot of talent doesn't stay with us very long, and it shouldn't be this way. But all I see is somebody who's kind of like fatigued in Costa Rica, and this girl that's kind of, laughing away because this is getting her publicity. And I'm really sick of this reflected glory of all the things that this guy's worked for, everything that he's had to fight for, like just everything that he has shown himself to be. And with his success, with all those writing credits, and and the person that's leading the headlines is Zara. Like, who the hell is she, and what has she accomplished, and why is she stealing the thunder from Louis? Because unless it's like she's getting all this publicity, long after her like Love Island thing is done because of Louis, and yet somehow she's the topic and not him. When if it wasn't for him, no one would care because no one cared when she was dating Sam. I'm just tired of seeing somebody who deserves so much, who's fucking worked for it, who's earned his stripes. I'm so tired of seeing it eclipsed by something shallow. And yes, I'm kind of referring to somebody else that he was linked to. We all know who. Anyway, we are there for you, Louis.